Oh, come on. You're calling this a financial support? It's hilarious that it's just this little. Given Tom's earnings, there should definitely be more room for generosity, but Yvonne is just too polite to say anything. I see. It's indeed strange that the allowance Yvonne gives me is only $20 a month. In fact, I was later told by Yvonne herself that the amount she was supposed to send me was $2,600 a month. What happened to the difference, I wonder? But that's not all. Shockingly, amounts of money that I don't recognize have been withdrawn from my cash card. However, I have a good guess who might be behind this. I regret trusting her even a little and giving her my cash card. But when I think about Yvonne, I don't want to cause a fuss. Just as I was thinking this, Yvonne and Tom started to take action. And then, I confronted her about why she has been harassing me for so long. I'm Nora Kirk, a 60-year-old cook working in hospital food service. I had a daughter with my husband, whom I met in high school, but he passed away when our daughter was 2 years old. Overwhelmed with grief, it took me a while to recover. But I have my dear daughter Yvonne, so I couldn't stay down forever. Thinking this, I worked hard to make sure Yvonne wouldn't have to suffer. It's been over 30 years since my husband passed away. Yvonne is now working nobly as a nurse. I was worried about Yvonne, who is over 30 and not married yet, but she told me she couldn't be happy leaving me alone. Recently, it seems Yvonne has found a boyfriend. I was secretly hoping she would tell me about getting engaged soon. And just as I hoped, Yvonne told me she was proposed to by him. However, there was a shadow in Yvonne's expression. Wondering if there was a reason, I asked her. What's wrong, Yvonne? You're about to get married, but you seem down. Yvonne answered awkwardly. You know, Mom. I wanted to live with you or at least live nearby after I got married, so we could be just like we've always been. Yvonne started the conversation by talking about him and his family. His name is Tom. It seems he's an employee at a pharmaceutical company that visits the hospital where Yvonne works. However, Tom's mother is adamant about living with her son's wife. It appears she lost her husband 2 years ago and doesn't want to lose her only son as well. I can understand feeling lonely if she recently lost her husband, unlike me. Thinking this, I told Yvonne. You know, his mom might be feeling really lonely right now, wanting her son close. I kinda get it. But, being alone would be the same for you, Mom. Yvonne said, worried about me. Nevertheless, what's most important right now is Yvonne's happiness. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine on my own. Just focus on being happy with him. I reassured her, wanting Yvonne to feel at ease about her happiness. Some time passed, and Yvonne brought her fiancé Tom to our home. Tom, with his bright and gentle personality, seemed like a very nice man. I felt reassured that he would make her happy. However, when I met Tom's mother and realized Yvonne would be living with her, I was shocked and worried for Yvonne. The meeting took place at Tom's family home. This house would become Yvonne's new home, where she would live from now on. Dressed in a new suit, I went with Yvonne to Tom's house, thinking this. Their house was bigger and more impressive than I imagined. Seeing the grand entrance, I involuntarily gasped. Given that she's from such a wealthy-looking family, she must be a person of much higher standing than me. Sensing my feelings, Yvonne eased my tension. Mom, you don't need to be so nervous. Just relax. Right. Sorry. There's no point in me being nervous. I replied with a smile, not wanting to worry Yvonne. Then, taking a deep breath, I pressed the doorbell. Tom greeted us at the door with a warm smile. We've been expecting you. Please, come in. He said, easing my tension somewhat. But then, seeing Tom's mother appear from behind him made me catch my breath. The woman seemed familiar, as if I had seen her somewhere before. Nice to meet you. I'm Tom's mother, Sally. Hearing that name, a woman I knew from the past came to mind. Excuse me, by any chance, are you Sally Anderson from high school? Eh? Yes, my maiden name was Anderson, but who you might be? Indeed, she was Sally, a woman from my high school days, 2 years older than me, and a member of the same club. I'm Nora Kirk, went to same high school. I responded, making an awkward face. Sally's expression suddenly turned stern as if she remembered who I was. Back in high school, Sally was particularly harsh on me. For reasons I never understood, seemingly holding a grudge and often being mean. However, Sally's stern face quickly softened. "Oh, Nora? We both changed our last names, so I didn't recognize you," Sally said with a smile. It's been over 40 years since we graduated from high school, so she might not even remember being mean to me anymore. After the greetings at the entrance, we were led inside. There was a spacious guest room. Sally made some tea and then asked me, "Are you really okay with giving your daughter to us?" Being asked so directly if I was okay with giving away my daughter caught me off guard. But I knew I had to endure it for Yvonne's happiness. "Yes. I might have my shortcomings, but please take good care of her," I said. Sally looked at me with a sharp expression and said in a condescending tone, "Let me make this clear, Tom is the precious heir of this family. So, his wife will have to follow my guidelines." And what would those be? Nothing difficult. Just don't go against what I've decided or neglect me, that's all. Her expression gradually took on the look of that girl from high school. The fact that living together was a non-negotiable condition had already made me anticipate a strict household, but it seemed there might be even stricter conditions than I imagined. I started to worry about Yvonne's future. But that doesn't mean I can oppose her marriage. Because Tom is a good person, I decided to trust him completely and leave Yvonne in his care. Once Yvonne got married and I was left alone, I focused solely on my job. I wanted to stay healthy and not worry Yvonne with any health issues, even if I got sick. However, one day, something happened. The corn we ordered arrived at the cafeteria, but nobody was there because it was lunch break. A 66-pound bag of corn left at the entrance would always get a remark from the nurses. With no other choice, I decided to carry it to the storeroom myself. "Here goes!" I exclaimed, lifting it, only to feel a sharp pain in my back the moment I did. I hurriedly put the bag down but couldn't move from the spot. Enduring the pain, I managed to call out for help. My voice somehow reached outside the cafeteria, and a nurse rushed over to help. I was then taken to the examination room. It turned out I had thrown out my back. Years of standing and working had taken their toll on my already tall frame, and I had been suffering from back pain for a long time. I had to be hospitalized and remain at rest until I recovered. I had tried so hard not to worry Yvonne. Lying in the hospital bed, thinking about it made me feel pathetic. Then, that night, Yvonne came to the hospital. "Mom, are you okay? I got a call from your workplace and was surprised. But sorry for coming so late." "Oh, it's fine. You have your own family to look after. I'm sorry for worrying you. It's just a thrown out back, I'll be fine," I replied, smiling to reassure Yvonne. But Yvonne, concerned for me, said, "Mom, you've been pushing yourself too hard raising me. It's my turn to take care of you. I can't be around because of work, but I'll send money to make sure you don't struggle financially. So, please take your time to rest and focus on healing your back." I was truly touched by Yvonne's kindness. However, I wondered if Sally would approve of the financial help. "I appreciate the thought, but is your mother-in-law okay with it?" "Yeah. I'll talk to her when I get home today. It'll be fine." For now, Yvonne agreed to deposit the money into my account, so I told her where to find my bank card at home and asked her to take care of it. My back turned out to be more seriously injured than I thought, and my hospital stay became prolonged. Even after being discharged from the hospital, I couldn't move around as I wished, so I couldn't even go to the bank's ATM to withdraw the allowance I was receiving. While I was thinking about this, the intercom rang. When I answered through the monitor, it was Sally who had come. As I made my way to the entrance, leaning on walls for support, and opened the door, Sally looked at me with concern and said, Oh, Nora. I'm sorry for making you strain yourself. Here, hold on to my shoulder, and I'll help you inside. No sooner had she said this than she placed my arm over her shoulder and helped me into the house. Caught off guard by her sudden kindness, she sat me down and softly spoke. Nora, it must be tough being alone, especially since Yvonne can't come because of work. But if there's anything you need, just let me know, okay? I felt a sense of unease with Sally suddenly being so nice, but I kept my composure. No, it's me who should be sorry for the trouble my daughter, Yvonne, has caused by working late. But what brings you here today? When I asked, Sally replied with a smug look. Since Yvonne is busy, I've decided to bring you the monthly allowance myself. She then handed me two $10 bills. What is this money for? I asked, dumbfounded, and Sally burst into laughter. How funny. Isn't it sad to call it a financial support when it's just this much? Considering Tom's earnings, there should be more than enough, but Yvonne is being too reserved. I see. It was indeed strange for my allowance to be only $20 a month. Yvonne should be able to give more from her own earnings without relying on Tom's salary. Then, Sally, more smugly than before, said, Since it's just $20, it would be a waste to pay a transfer fee. So, I've decided to bring it directly to you from now on. I'd like to contribute a bit myself, but I don't want to make you feel obliged. Instead, I'll help out with anything, like shopping or doing the laundry, so just tell me whenever you need anything. Though I found it strange, I didn't want to cause any trouble, so I gratefully accepted Sally's offer. From that day, Sally started coming to our house daily, taking care of cleaning, laundry, and meal preparation. She seemed genuinely kind, different from her high school days. I began to open up to Sally. Since she offered to go shopping too, I entrusted her with my cash card. After dinner was ready, Sally would leave around 5 p.m. to go home. In the evening, as I was about to eat dinner alone, Yvonne called. Mom, I'm sorry for not being able to contact you much. It was the first time in a while I heard Yvonne's voice. I made sure to thank her for the allowance, even though it was small. No, thank you for the allowance every month. Even $20 means a lot to me. After I said this, there was a pause. Then, Yvonne responded with something unbelievable. What? I've been sending $2,600 every month. What? I've only been receiving $20 from your mother-in-law. There was another silence. Are you receiving it in person? Yes, I've been getting it directly from your mother-in-law every month. Yvonne sounded puzzled and then raised her voice in excitement. I talked to my family about the allowance and said I'd transfer it during my break, but my mother-in-law said she'd handle it for me. Could you put her on the phone, please? She's still there, right? Oh. She usually goes home by 5 p.m. like today. What? No, she tells me she's taking care of you every night and doesn't come home until late. I was surprised by Yvonne's words. Why would Sally lie about something like that? Yvonne seemed to have grown suspicious of her actions. For now, when my mother-in-law comes back, I'll confront her. Yvonne was still worked up, but I worried about how this might affect her family relationship. Yvonne, don't worry about me. Just try to talk to her calmly, without getting too worked up. What are you saying, Mom? It's unnatural not to know what happened to $2,600 every month. Right, then you should talk to Tom about it. He knows about the allowance, doesn't he? I advised her, hoping to calm her down. Okay, I got it. I'll call you back if anything happens. Yvonne hung up after saying that. I regretted causing trouble for Yvonne's new family. Waiting for her call, I couldn't help but worry about potential trouble at their home. About 2 hours later, Yvonne called back. Mom, my mother-in-law hasn't come back yet, but I wanted to tell you something before she does. Hearing Yvonne speak in a strange tone made me anxious about what had happened. Actually, when I was cleaning my mother-in-law's room earlier, I found a strange photo. It looks like a group photo from her high school club activities. A club activity group photo? What about it? Yvonne continued with some difficulty. In that photo, the face of the tallest girl is blacked out with a marker, and on top of that, it's been scratched with a cutter knife. I think it might be you, Mom. Indeed, when I joined, I was the tallest among the female members. I remembered having that photo. Now that you mention it, I had that photo too. I was on the back row, on the far left. Yes. That's the person in the photo. It looked like it was done with so much hatred. Yvonne told me, prompting me to look back on my high school days. The harassment from Sally started soon after I joined. She was kind to other club members but harsh to me, always burdening me with chores. I wondered why Sally disliked me so much. I'll confront her about this photo. And, Mom, I'm really sorry for not being able to give you proper living expenses until now. What's wrong? Why change the subject all of a sudden? Because when I went to update your bank account today, it looked like a lot of money had been spent. There's hardly any balance left. From now on, I'll take responsibility for bringing you the living expenses. Yvonne told me, making me feel a chill down my spine. Because I had entrusted my cash card to Sally. When I told Yvonne, she quickly retorted. What? So, does that mean my mother-in-law withdrew everything? I knew something was off. It's impossible for Mom to withdraw $6,000 a month. $6,000? The most I asked her to buy was worth about $40 a day. It turns out Sally had dipped into not just the living expenses from Yvonne but also into my savings. This is serious. I'm going to the bank right now to freeze the account. The main office should still be open, so I can take care of the procedures immediately. Yvonne said before hanging up. From the next day, Sally stopped coming to our house. Then, 3 days later in the morning, I heard a car stopping in front of our house and went out to check. It was Tom's car. Since it was Saturday, Tom was off work. Getting out of the car were Yvonne, looking furious, and Tom, firmly holding Sally's arm. It seemed Yvonne had confronted Sally about the living expenses and the cash card. Sally had the look of someone who was brought along against her will. Yvonne came up to me and loudly said, "Mom, my mother-in-law was spending the $2,600 she was supposed to give as an allowance. The day before yesterday, I followed her and saw her freaking out at the ATM because she couldn't withdraw money, so I confronted her, and she confessed." What? Why would she do that? I asked, looking towards Sally. Sally, avoiding eye contact, answered in a low voice. "I was lonely after losing my husband." "Just because you were lonely, you thought it was okay to use someone else's money?" Tom yelled at her, still holding her arm. Then, he looked at me and apologized. "I'm sorry, Nora. I'll make sure she pays back every penny she used." "No, Tom, it's not your place to apologize. I shouldn't have trusted Sally and left her with my cash card." Tom then angrily said to Sally, "Why didn't you return the cash card right after shopping? Did you always keep it with you?" No matter what was said, Sally remained silent. Yvonne, looking more intimidating, glared at Sally. "Just because $2,600 wasn't enough, you even dipped into my mom's account. We'll make sure you pay back everything you've used." Wait, Yvonne. It's okay for me. I couldn't forgive Sally for using the money without permission. Yet, the thought of Yvonne's new family becoming strained was too painful for me. "Let's just talk this over calmly," I suggested, trying to calm everyone down as we entered the house for a discussion. There was something more important than money that needed to be confirmed. I didn't believe Sally was really spending money for some young man. There must have been another reason she was harassing me. We wanted to confirm this directly with her. "Sally, why have you been harassing me since the old days?" For Yvonne to continue living in your house with peace of mind, I want to hear the real reason. Sally, looking like she was recalling unpleasant memories, answered, "Because I have a grudge against you." I was shocked by her unexpected response. What could I have possibly done to her? I tried to think of any reason, but nothing came to mind. A grudge? Did I do something to hurt you, Sally? If there was something you didn't like, I wish you'd tell me honestly. Then, Sally, with anger in her voice, glared at me. When you entered high school, you stole my boyfriend. He was the one I loved, and as soon as you joined the club, he fell for you. I was taken aback by her words. When I had just joined the club, there was a senior boy who started talking to me. We hit it off and began dating soon after. And after graduating from college, I married him. I had no idea he had been dating Sally before me. I'm sorry. I had no idea he was dating you. I apologized, but it seemed like my words didn't reach Sally. I confronted him, and he said he fell for you because you were always considerate of those around you, and that's why he broke up with me. What made me angry wasn't that you took him from me, but that he loved you more than he did me. Everyone, including Tom and Yvonne, was shocked by Sally's reasoning. You've been holding on to this old grudge all this time? So, you've been jealous of my mom and harassing her now because of that? That's just too selfish. Confronted by her son and daughter-in-law, Sally, with a miserable look, yelled as if to shake off their accusations. Shut up. He was really important to me. Because of her, I was so shocked I couldn't even think about love again. I even ended up marrying someone my parents chose for me. She ruined my life. Sally pointed at me, tears streaming down her face. But no one sympathized with her. I had my own hardships. Being ridiculed for my height since I was young. But in high school, I decided to value a kind heart over appearance. It led me to make good friends and find love. However, explaining this to Sally now seemed futile. To avoid escalating the situation, I calmly told Sally. Even though I didn't know, I apologize for hurting you, Sally. But holding on to that grudge will only hurt Tom and Yvonne. I'll try to stay out of your way to not cause any more trouble. Please, take good care of Yvonne as your daughter-in-law. Yvonne looked at me, surprised. Why? You did nothing wrong. It's okay. As long as you're happy, that's all that matters to me. Sally, with a complex expression, heard our conversation. Stop it, please. Always playing the good person, that's what I've always hated about you from the start. Sally's eyes filled with even larger tears. She likely realizes her own faults but can't openly admit them. Right now, her heart may be wandering in darkness. Honestly, I no longer wanted Yvonne to stay in a family with such a woman. If possible, I wanted to be by Yvonne's side. But, unsure of what to do, I was at a loss for words. Noticing this, Tom raised his voice in a firm manner. Enough is enough. I'm fed up with you, Mom. After all, it's your own fault you got dumped. And then you blame others, harboring jealousy and resorting to harassment. Tom's vehement outburst seemed to shock Sally. Tom, what are you saying? You're not usually one to speak like that. She probably thought her son would always comply with her wishes. But Tom is an honorable person. It's natural for him to criticize what's wrong, even if it involves a parent. Yvonne, with a serious gaze towards Sally, added, I wanted to have a good relationship with you. That's why I trusted you with the allowance and my mother's care. But now, I can no longer trust you, nor do I want to try to get along. Sally looked bitter at Yvonne's words. Yvonne! How dare you, being so arrogant as a daughter-in-law? Tom! Divorce her right now and kick her out. The one leaving is you, Mom. Tom yelled back, leaving everyone stunned. Sally's eyes widened, her mouth opening and closing in disbelief. To tell me to leave, Tom? I've wanted to say this for a while, but Mom always thinks you're right. You never considers the feelings of your family or anyone else, just saying whatever you want, acting selfishly. Dad even said he wanted to leave you, but couldn't because you had no means to support yourself. I've had enough of living with a mother like that. Tom unleashed his feelings toward his mother, feelings he had likely held back for a long time. Tears flowed again from Sally's eyes. Being criticized to such an extent by her own son, she probably had no words to return. She then knelt on the floor and began to cry out loud. Yet, Tom showed no mercy. "Cry or scream all you want, no one is going to take your side. You said it yourself, didn't you? That your marriage, arranged by your parents, ruined your life." As Tom said this, Sally stopped crying and looked up. But she seemed unable to meet his gaze, looking away instead. Tom also had a sorrowful expression. Indeed, such matters shouldn't be discussed in front of one's child. As if regretting even having them. With tears in his eyes, Tom said, "I'm severing our parent-child ties. So, please, just leave. And of course, make sure you repay the money you embezzled to Yvonne and Nora." Sally, spoken to in this way, kept her head down without responding. Likely, she had no means to repay the money. But more than that, the sorrow of being abandoned by her beloved son seemed unbearable. "Why do I alone have to endure such hardship?" she lamented, thinking she was the most aggrieved. If only she could humbly admit her faults and say "I'm sorry," perhaps someone could have supported her. "I've decided to completely give up on Sally. I'll leave the rest to Tom and Yvonne." Consequently, Sally was expelled from the house. Following discussions with Tom and Yvonne, it was agreed that the embezzled money would be repaid gradually from her survivor's pension and earnings from part-time work. However, for Sally, who had never worked before, just getting by would likely be a struggle. Overwhelmed by the unfamiliar stress of life and work, Sally reportedly made advances to a male customer at her part-time job. The man, also single and about her age, didn't show any disdain towards Sally's advances, and they started dating. However, life doesn't always go smoothly. One day, after staying over at Sally's apartment, the man ran off with her wallet, bank card while she was asleep. A report was filed immediately, but since the man had used a fake name, his true identity and whereabouts remained unknown. In the end, Sally lost everything and now works tirelessly at 2 jobs. I was informed by Yvonne. This is why repayments to me will be delayed for a while. However, I'm not concerned about the money. More so, I felt pity for Sally, who had lived without love, now drowning in it so late in life. Sally, who couldn't even fulfill her role as a mother. She might now live a lonely life without anyone by her side. As for me, my back pain has significantly improved, and I'm considering returning to work soon. But I'm thinking of postponing that for a while. Tom and Yvonne, who have been working hard together, have welcomed their first child. They named her Maureen. They were considering placing her in daycare, but I offered to take care of Maureen instead. Yvonne was delighted, but Tom hesitantly said, "I really appreciate your offer, Nora, but it's too much to ask, especially since your back pain has just healed." Tom's concern made me feel a bit embarrassed. Then, Yvonne suggested, "How about this? Until Maureen turns 1, we can both take turns taking parental leave while Mom helps us out. That way, it won't be too much of a burden on her, right?" That sounds like a plan. Sharing the responsibility of child rearing means no one gets overwhelmed, and it creates a better family environment. Yes, raising a child is something the whole family should cooperate on. With such a family environment, I'm sure Maureen will grow up to be a wonderful child. I stared intently at her face. Then, it seemed like she looked back at me and smiled. Look, everyone, she just smiled. The family was warmed by her first smile. Seeing such a lovely smile makes me almost forget my back pain. I want to cherish these happy moments for as long as possible.